Put the camera down and slowly back away, please. You're going to learn how to take proper photos for your online hair transplant consultation. It could mean the difference between you being a candidate and not being a candidate. So make sure that your photos are the best they can be, and this is how you do it. This tutorial is going to assume that you have the most basic of tools that are available to the average person to take these photos. That's a smartphone, a comb, and a hand mirror. And with smartphones, you usually get earbuds. When you plug in the earbuds and you have it in camera mode, the volume control on the earbuds, doesn't matter if it's raising the volume or lowering the volume, you press it once and it actually takes a picture. It acts as a remote shutter release. You can also use the timer that is built into all phones, and you look on the phone, this is the universal symbol for a camera timer. You actually see this on regular cameras too. You press that, and on iPhone you have option for off, 3 seconds or 10 seconds. And that can really come in handy if you don't have someone to help you and you don't have a remote. Now, the first thing to know about taking photos for your hair transplant consultations is to make sure that your light is consistent and that is plentiful and you're not using flash. And the last part I'll get to at the end of this section. And before you start talking about going outside to take pictures in the sunlight, that's one of the worst places to take pictures. The reason why is it's not consistent. The clouds can change from day to day, because what you're going to be learning in this series or in this class is not just how to take hair transplant photos for consultation, but also how to document your results as you progress after surgery. That's why taking photos in the sunlight is a bad idea. The second thing to consider when it comes to the lighting of your hair transplant photos is you have to have your light source behind and above your camera. So what you need to do is make sure that you have a constant and reliable light source. Why does it have to be behind the camera? If the light source is not behind the camera, it means that it's probably behind you. And if it's behind you, it means that the light's coming in and overwhelming the lens. So obviously this is a bad situation for showing the detail that a doctor needs to see to do the right consultation. And the last thing to remember about the lighting situation for your hair transplant consultation photos is don't use the flash that's on your camera. So what flash does to hair transplant consultation photos and even hair transplant results photos, which is a subject for another video, it makes some areas look far thinner than they are in reality, and it makes other areas look far thicker, more dense than they are in reality, and it can lead to serious misdiagnoses of your actual situation. So don't use flash. If you look at the picture here, you can even see on my own crown a flash photo and a non-flash photo, and these photos were taken no more than 10 seconds apart. And this is a huge difference that can actually distort what the final assessment by a doctor would be. And don't just take my word for it. Let's talk to some experts.
Don't put a flash on.
Yeah, don't use flash.
And another thing that you need to be aware of when you're taking these hair transplant consultation photos is to make sure that everything is in focus. Review your photos when you're done with them. I can't tell you how many times through all of the tens of thousands of photos that I've seen through my career where photos of someone's hair were completely out of focus except for the plant on the other side of the room. And finally, you have to make sure that whatever the problem is that's bothering you, that you can actually see it in the photos. And this goes beyond just being in focus. It means don't hide the problem that's bothering you as if you're going out on the town with your boys. You have to show the area that's receding or has loss. So in other words, if you have an area in your hairline that's bothering you, don't do the photos with your hair covering your hairline. No doctor can look at this and tell you how many grafts you need. You have to be able to expose the hairline. If you are sporting a comb over, uncomb it over, or if you're combing it back over your crown, comb it forward so your crown is exposed. This is imperative, yet so many people don't even think about this. Now we're going to go through the basic angles that you need to have for your online consultation. You want to take the back of the camera and you can use your mirror to line up. So I can see myself here. You can probably see me as well. So you want to line up with the angle so that you're directly in front of your lens. You don't want to be off to the side like this because you're hiding this temple or you're hiding this temple from that angle. It's got to be straight on. Have it just slightly up above for perspective. Look straight ahead. Then you need to do a 45-degree tilt down. And then what's called chin to chest. In other words, just tilt down as far as you can like this. And you turn to either side 45 degrees. Put the camera back in place, slightly above your hairline. And then you do the profile, lining up. Then looking forward again. Then you do the profile for that angle. Now this next section is a bit more difficult, a little bit tricky. We're going to be taking photos of the back of the scalp. I like to hold the remote shutter release on the handle of my mirror behind my forefinger. And you can even kind of rest it against your head. And then the most difficult part of taking the photos is next, and that's where you're showing the donor density. It doesn't matter if it's strip or FUE. A decent sized strip will still go up on the sides, and with FUE, if they're being responsible with the donor zone, they're going to also go up onto the sides. So you need to get all three shots of the donor zone. So just to make it simple, take your remote shutter off, hold it in your hand, use the side rocker for the exposure control, and don't even worry about the mirror. Just simply tilt your head down, use the comb, find the middle of your donor zone, comb it up and lift it, take the camera, be aware of where the main lens is, and just kind of try to line it up, hit the exposure. Nailed it. I can actually see in my screen where I am. Then do the other side. And that's it. So that's how you take photos with the minimum requirement. That's assuming you have nothing else besides a smartphone. But consider the fact that you're about to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a procedure that is going to last you for the rest of your life. To me, it only makes sense to invest in a small amount of equipment that will make the picture-taking process that much easier. That's why you should run down to your local electronics store and get yourself a selfie stick. Yes, selfie sticks are annoying when you're out traveling or if you live in a great place and you see a lot of tourists around. But for this subject, they're very handy. Why? Because you can use the selfie stick. It usually has a nice remote shutter on the handle for all those angles that I was just doing, but you don't have to look like a contortionist. And another great thing about selfie sticks is that in order to hold the phone, they have these clips. Now what's great about these clips is that they have a 1/4 inch screw attachment right here. This is how they attach, and this just happens to be the standard size for most tripods. Now if you don't have a tripod already, get one on Craigslist or go to some cheap camera store and get their cheapest. You can take the clip and stick it on the end of your tripod, and then you stick your phone on it. Now you don't have to do the funny angles that I was doing in the washroom. So when you can use a tripod for your phone, you can still use the earbud trick I showed you. You can actually just stand in front of the phone and you can turn through all those angles that I was showing you in my washroom. Just like that. So that is the quick and dirty how to take hair transplant consultation photos using the bare minimum of tech and gear that almost everyone has. A smartphone. And if you're willing to invest just a few dollars into some equipment, which I think you should since you're spending thousands of dollars for a lifelong result, which is a hair transplant, which can make or break your self-confidence and your position in life and really how you feel about yourself, it only makes sense to get a selfie stick and or a tripod. Because these are things you can use at other times in your life as well, but you get the point. So that's the end of this hair transplant class. I hope that you found it useful and you can use it in your own hair transplant consultation photo taking session. If you did like this video, hit the like button down below. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. I could really use the support. Anyway, so yeah, what else? That's it. Peace! Now, while I was editing this video, I remember two extremely important points that you have to remember. First up, when you're taking photos of your hair loss situation, it doesn't help if you're not wearing a shirt. That means put your shirt on, put your clothes on, you're taking photos of your hair, you're not taking photos for Tinder. Number two, you don't have to show photos of your toilet if you're taking photos in the washroom. It's not necessary for a medical evaluation. So hair transplant clinics that are getting photos like this, you can thank me for this later. We're done.